What is up, guys? Jeremy here, and welcome back to another video. And as you can probably tell, this is not normally how I record my videos. I'm doing this because I'm going to cover the advanced stuff with WeatherLite. A ton of people are going to have a lot of questions about doing advanced things. So I figured I would make a probably very long video trying to explain all of this. Now, keep in mind, WeatherLite, if you guys are looking to create setups, it's mainly aimed towards experts to create these, people that have at least a basic knowledge of JavaScript, and mainly JavaScript open notation. Now, anybody that's a jailbreaker that has made edits to widgets or created widgets or modded widgets, you're probably good to go with this. It's stuff you've probably have seen before. But if you're just an average user, just take caution with trying to do this stuff. It is a little bit technical, but once you understand the fundamentals of it, it's actually pretty easy. It's definitely very time consuming, so this isn't something you're gonna be able to do in 15 minutes. Like the setup that I created, like this one here. Actually, this is a pre-recorded video that I failed on, that I spent 31 minutes on, as you guys can see there. But like a setup like this that I created, I think I probably spent around 5 to 6 hours creating that setup. Now, I'm not even talking about the icons. I'm just talking about the WeatherLite setup. Basically, it's like a widget for no jailbreak, which is incredible. But it's pretty technical, so I'm going to try and hopefully answer many questions in this video and give you guys a good idea of what you are doing, hopefully, and help assist you in creating these, because I know a lot of people are going to want to try to do this. So I guess where I could start is with some more basic stuff, and then we will slowly get more advanced as this video goes. This is going to be a long video, so grab yourself a drink, maybe some popcorn, and sit back. But anyways, so if you guys haven't seen the first WeatherLite video, watch that first. This ain't going to make sense if you haven't seen that, so video link's in the description. But hopefully you guys understand the basics. So you have the two shortcuts here. You have a WeatherLite setup and a WeatherLite. Now, the beauty of WeatherLite is you can just jump into here, you can go into the WeatherLite setup, and then you can just basically apply WeatherLite to home screen or lock screen independently, and you can also select and choose different themes, and the themes are pretty easy to install, like I covered in the previous video. But if you don't want this to display on the lock screen, change this to 0. 0 means no. Yes, yes is 1, 0 is no. Just always remember that. So I don't want it to update the lock screen. And then you can come back in here and you can select a different home screen theme. Maybe I made it crash. Sometimes nope, there it goes. Took a minute to load. So the one that I created is the bottom one, the IDM3. So I selected a different theme. I can go ahead and run the shortcut. And as you guys can see, this hodgepodge of a edit will disappear, and it'll be the really cool, clean one that I created. So there you go. As you can see, the background is different. That's just because that's how I have it set up. I'll explain the backgrounds in a minute. Okay, so if we go back into shortcuts, another cool tip is to put a app icon for the main shortcut. So for WeatherLite, click the 3 dots there. Click the 3 dots again, add to home screen. You can choose an icon. I'll choose it from files. Sure, let's just choose one of these carbon icons because they are so beautiful. Let's choose the blue one. Let's delete the name. Let's add it to the home screen. This is going to save time. So let's click done. Let's exit. Now we have the blue flower, and when I click the blue flower, it's going to run the main shortcut. So that is going to save you time. You don't have to go into the shortcuts application to run the shortcut. You can literally just click on an app from the home screen to update it. So basically you can click that anytime you want any of the information in WeatherLite to update. Another cool thing you can do is you go into automation and you can have Weatherlight be automated. I've tested this a ton. I've had it run every 30 minutes throughout the entire day. That way, every 30 minutes, it updates my weather information, my battery information, the date, conditions, temperatures, everything you see every 30 minutes, and there is no significant battery drain whatsoever. It's pretty cool how it works. So I'll just do one for example to show you how to start setting up the automation. Maybe I'll do two so you can see the increments, but do create personal automation. You do time of day. And let's say we want the automation to begin at 6 a.m. Just change it to 6 a.m. Click on next, and you're going to want to add an action. And then you're going to go ahead and you're going to want to run a shortcut. So do scripting, and then you're going to go ahead and scroll down until you see run shortcut right there. As you can see, there is open shortcut or run shortcut. So just click on run shortcut, and then you click on the shortcut there and you choose which shortcut you want it to run. So we are going to choose WeatherLite, just like that. And now we can click the next in the upper right. And as you can see, it's automated to run at 6 a.m. So next thing you want to do is turn off the ask before running. Do not ask, otherwise you're going to have to confirm it every time, which is really stupid. So don't do that. Go ahead and click on done. And now the shortcut will be automated for 6 a.m. And what you can do is you can create one of these. Let's do another one. Let's say we want it to run again at 7 a.m. Click next, add action, scripting, scroll down until you see run shortcut. Again, choose WeatherLite towards the bottom, click next, do not ask, done. And you can do this every hour for the day, for the whole day that you're awake, or whatever times you want. You can do it every 30 minutes, you can do it every hour, you can do it every 5 minutes. It's just going to take you forever to add all the shortcuts, but that's how you're going to fully automate WeatherLite to run. So that's a cool little tip for you guys to know. All right, so we've covered some easy stuff. We have a shortcut application on the home screen. Like I said, that's going to pay off greatly for those of you that want to create one of these setups. All right, let's edit the background. It's another big question. How to change the background. So as you guys see, I have a background here. So if you go into files here and let's back up to the WeatherLite main folder, you go to images, and as you can see, there is capital BG underscore capital HS. That is the image that the shortcut is pulling to use as the background image. You have to name it exactly. As you guys can see, I actually have a couple of different sets in here, and I've put different numbers at the end of them. I'm just keeping those here just in case I want to switch back to them. I can show you this in action with the HS3. So what I'm going to do is change the main one, which has no numbers, rename it. I'll name it to 4. I'll take the 3, rename it, remove the 3, so now it's the main background home screen wallpaper. And when I run the shortcut, you guys will see the background will change. This is a super common question, how to change the background. And as you guys will see, the background is now different. So there's a couple other things at play with the background. It's a layered system. There's the background, there's weather walls, and there's an overlay. Now, if weather walls is enabled, you will not be able to make changes to the background because the weather walls are overriding the background. Now, this is an edit from the JSON file for whatever setup you want to run. And I will show you guys that more in a minute. So if you change the background and it doesn't take effect, it's probably because weather walls is running, and that's just going to override it. Now, to create or to use your own custom background, as you guys can see here, I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, I wouldn't just take a random image out of your Photos application to use. You really want to specify this image just so that it works properly. And it does have to be a JPG file. So what I like to do is I have Pixelmator. This is a paid application. There are free versions of this in the App Store, so just do some searching. But if we go into Pixelmator, I'm going to back out of this project. I'm going to click the plus button in the upper right, and I'm going to start a new project. And Pixelmator is pretty cool. You have some default landscape and portrait projects you can start there, and that will be to whatever screen size your device is. So for portrait, 1284 by 2778, that's in pixels, and that's the exact dimension and size of the iPhone 12 Pro Max. So that's what I like to do. I like to just start with that, and you have a blank page here. Now from here, I add whatever image I want from my Photos app, basically. So I can go through here and I can pick out you know, a different wallpaper to be used with this. I can just choose something randomly, I guess. Let's just do this one here. So what I like to do is I like to scale it to size so that it fills up my screen properly. Just like that. You can make it a little bit bigger or, you know, expand it, whatever you want to do here. Just make sure that it looks good in the end, just like that. Now what I can do is export this image. And one thing that's nice with Pixelmator is I can export it directly to my files. So send to iCloud Drive. And when you do that, you can choose the format of the image. You can do a Pixelmator image, a .png, or a .jpeg. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to do the JPEG as an option because the background image in Weatherlight has to be a JPEG. So I'm actually going to close out these folders, and it's iCloud Drive, shortcuts, and then iOS Weather, Weatherlight, and then you just put it into the images folder just like that. Now from here, I can also edit the name, and I'm going to do that. So I'm going to name it BG for background, put the underscore in. I want this for the home screen, and I'm just going to give it a random number right now just because I don't want it to override what I'm already using. So click done, and then you can save it to that file. Now when we exit out of Pixelmator, we can hop back into our files here, and you can see there it is populated BG home screen 99. Now I can take the one I'm using, and I like to keep these in here. I mean, you can just delete them if you want and make them as you wish, but I like to just rename them. Let's just change this one to 6 because that's a number I'm not using. And we'll rename this one that I just created to not have any numbers. So just capital BG underscore home screen or HS. Click done. And that will be the new background. So let's go ahead and run it. And like I said, I just like to use Pixelmator to do this just because it works so quickly. I'm so used to it. It's what I like to use. I actually used it to create the overlay for the setup you guys are seeing right now, the dock effect, and then basically the kind of like widget background. I used Pixelmator to create those, but as you can see, the background is now different. So that's how you can change the background. It's going to be the same for the lock screen. Just make sure you're doing the correct file extensions. If you guys have a wrong file, when you go to run the shortcut, you will get an error within the shortcuts application. It'll tell you it could not find the image, something like that. That means you've made an error. There's a wrong file extension or something like that. So any kind of error that has to do with the background, you've probably made a mistake. Another thing I want to note is if you run the shortcut from the home screen with that icon and it doesn't seem like anything has happened, go into shortcuts and run it this way, because probably there's an error and you can't see an error from the home screen when you're using that shortcut app icon. You can only see errors within the application. So if you're clicking this app on the home screen and nothing is happening, go into the shortcuts application and run it there. You're probably getting an error. All right, so we've done shortcuts and all that. So let's start doing a setup. Now I'm not going to create a setup for you guys. It does take some time, and this is where things begin to get kind of technical. With imaging, just remember you can choose whatever you want. So if we go into images and we go down to overlays, as you can see, these are some of the preloaded ones. I've added my own at the top. I have added the Zoo 1 overlay. So you can create overlays as well, and it's the same concept as doing the wallpaper or the background part, but you just want the overlay to be only, you know, a portion of the screen. And when you do overlays, these need to be a .png file so that it has transparency. So this has to be a .png. The backgrounds need to be JPEG. So you can use, you know, any overlay in here that you want, or you can create your own. It's the same concept as the background. And that goes for the icons as well. This is the icons that come with WeatherLite, but you can find more in iHEAVEN. There's a bunch of different packs, and you can just install that folder right into the icons. So there's a ton of customization you can do with this. You also have the weather walls. There are a bunch of other weather wall packs you can find in iHEAVEN. Same concept, just download those images and you can use it within WeatherLite. You just have to specify folder names and stuff like that. So if you're going to add, you know, your own weather walls, I would name it exactly the same as you see there, capital W, WALLS _, and then you could just put your name there or IDM or whatever you want. As you can see, these are full screen and they're by Moan. So there's a lot of customization that can happen here. You just really got to be careful on the files, the extensions, and the names. It's all case sensitive and it's all very important. Otherwise, you might break it. And if you get an error, you've made an error, you've broken something. If at all you get to the point where you can't figure out why you keep getting an error, you can just delete WeatherLite. You can delete the files and just re-download it and start over. Sometimes that's the best option. Sometimes you might screw something up and you might not be able to figure it out. So just delete it and then try again. That's really how you're going to learn. So we can start doing some JavaScript open notation for you guys now. Now, I absolutely love this. This is such a great update in comparison to Real Weather version 4, where you have to go into shortcuts and then you go into the actual shortcut and you have to scroll and scroll and scroll to find what you want to edit. That was so time consuming. In WeatherLite, you use JSON files and it's so much faster and easier and better and more control, and it's just an amazing update. Now, this is where it's going to get very technical. If you guys have never made an edit to like a jailbreak widget or a mod or created one, or you've never played around with JavaScript open notation, then you're going to have probably no clue what's going on here. But if you want to learn, I'll try to explain my best that I can. It's pretty straightforward once you understand the basics of this. So you're going to need an application to edit these JSON files. I use this application right here called Textastic. This is a application from the App Store. It is a paid application. It costs $10. So I can't imagine many of you are going to get this because of its price. I'd like to use it. It's what I'm used to using. There are free applications that can do the same thing. So just search through iHEAVEN. I'm pretty sure they've been posted probably in the SOS Real Weather channel, different applications. I think there's one called Codex. There's one called JSON. I'll try to leave links for the free versions in the description if I can remember. But like I said, I use Textastic. And as you can see, this is what a JavaScript open notation file looks like. Now, before we start doing this, we're gonna start our own setup. Now, when we're in the files here and we back up and we go to JSON, these are essentially the setups you can switch through in the quick setup shortcut. As you can see, I have made a couple. How you want to start this is you really want to use the template JSON. If you're looking to make one from scratch, start with these. You can, of course, modify any of these that we've created, but if you modify it and you want to go back and you haven't created a duplicate, you basically lose it. So if you're looking to really create them from scratch, here's my advice. Go into template. I'm going to do one for the home screen. So I'm going to copy it. I'm going to back out and I'm just going to paste it here. So now I have a template JSON that I can use. Now I'm going to rename this because we don't want it to be named template. We want it to be named something cool like IDM2. Why not? Make sure you leave the CSS underscore, capital H, capital S underscore. Leave that part there. And then the rest you can customize. Be careful if you're going to sit there and try and add like fancy characters or something like that. I'm not sure if that's going to break it or not. Just make it text only. Be simple. Don't put, sweet emojis here. I don't know what that would do. I just know that if you leave it as a simple text, it'll work. Don't try and be crazy here. Just make up a cool name like IDM2 or something. But anyways, so we have a new setup that we can use. And this is just a template. And I'm going to show you guys what we can do here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do share. And I'm going to open this with the Text-tastic application. This is where you would choose like codecs, or you would choose JSON, whatever application you're going to use to edit these files, choose it. So now I've opened it here, and I'm going to make a quick edit so that nobody can see where I live. And I'm going to change the street Y value. This is where I screwed up in the first video. I left this here so everybody could see where I lived. So I'm going to change the value to 200. I'll explain the values more in a minute, but I'm just going to change the value to 200, and that will make it so it's not displayed on my screen. So now, once you have a new setup, what you can do is go into shortcuts. You go into the WeatherLite setup shortcut, so select that. And then we're going to select the home screen theme. And now give it a second to load, and you will find this new setup that you're going to create. So IDM2, as you guys can see there towards the bottom. So I'm just going to select that, close the settings, run the shortcut, and you guys will see that my cool setup that I have here is going to completely change, and it's going to change to the template. So here is the template, and it has every element on it. And what I've done for my setup is I deconstructed the crap out of it, and I like simple stuff for the most part, so I made mine very, very simple, but it has everything that's available here, so you can start with everything that's available. Like if you try to start with my setup, you're not going to see any of this, and you'll have to figure out how to get it back on screen, which might make it a pain in the butt. So that's why I recommend you guys to start with a template, because it has everything available and you can pretty much deconstruct it or edit it to be however you want. So now that we have this, let's start with the weather walls, because that's a super common question, and that's going to affect your custom backgrounds. If you have weather walls enabled, you won't be able to see your custom background. So you can edit the weather walls in the files here, and it's under home screen general, which is right here, this section. So this is general settings for the file, and general settings for WeatherLite to recognize. So the first option is show weather walls. Now these are ones and zeros. It's real simple. 0 is no, and 1 is yes. Just remember that. So answer the questions. Show weather walls? No. And you can go through and you can change these. So hide top overlay is set to 1. So yes, it is hiding that. You can hide the sun and moon. So it's asking you what you want to do. Hide sun, moon? Yes. So we've made 2 very simple edits to this. And I know this works with Text-tastic. I don't know if it does for the free ones, but any edits that I make in here make changes instantly. It's basically editing them in the files. So if I make a change here, I can just exit the app and run the shortcut, and I don't have to like save files or anything like that. So it's super handy. So literally just jump out, run the shortcut, and you guys will see the weather walls will go away, and you should be able to see the background that I have set. It is there. It is hard to see because there is an overlay in the way. That's another thing that you're going to be able to edit. So from here, as you can see, you specify which overlay you want. So let's choose a different overlay. Let's go into files. Let's close out of this. Go into images, scroll down to overlays, and here are all the preloaded overlays. Of course, like I said, you can create your own. As you can see, there is a layer blank. So that's a blank overlay. Basically, it will be invisible. It's still there, but it's invisible. So this is probably something that a lot of people want to use. So let's change it to layer blank. Now, when you're making edits in here, I can't stress enough how important it is to not make mistakes. Everything is case sensitive. You have to spell it exactly. If there's capital letters, there has to be capital letters. If there's lowercase, there has to be lowercase. So we're going to edit the overlay just like this. Go ahead and delete that out. And it's just layer blank, just like that. So we have made an edit to the overlay. Literally, we can just exit, run the shortcut, and you guys will see the changes take effect, and it will remove the overlay. And there you go. There is no overlay now. It's starting to look a little weird. You can see the battery bar at the top there is completely exposed. So one of the best things to do with the battery is to have an overlay. That way you have it underneath the overlay and you can have a cutout in the overlay for that battery to be displayed. You could, of course, make an edit to it, but it's always going to be a square box unless you have an overlay over it. So just remember that. One quick thing, if we jump back into the files here, you have the top layer, you have hide sun moon, you have icon set as well. So this is all changeable. Let's go ahead and let's change the icon set. So the weather icons that you guys are seeing, like I said, you can find more of these icons in iHEAVEN under the real weather shares. There's a bunch to choose from. So if we go into icons, let's change it to the weather SM icons. Again, spelling is incredibly important. Capital letters have to be capital, lowers have to be lower. Everything has to be exact. So let's change it to weather SM. Go back in here, edit star doc, capital W, capital S, and boom, we have changed the icons. One thing that's nice about this application in specific, if you make a mistake in here, like let's delete that. As you can see there, it might be hard to see, but there's a little box in there and it's showing there's an error in the code. So this is a good application to show you if you've made an error somewhere. Another thing we could do is let's delete this. As you can see now there's an error. It looks weird. So this will point out if you've made errors. So if you have any random boxes and you're using this application, you made an error somewhere. But let's go ahead and run the shortcut and let's check out the new weather icons. And there you go. As you can see, there's the weather SM icons. They look a little different. So that's how you're going to change those. Let's go back into Text-tastic here. Let's start doing some edits to that battery bar because it looks so weird in the upper right there. So let's go in here. So you have the bar home screen. You have an X value and a Y value. The X is for left and right, and Y is up and down. And these numbers are based off of screen percentage. So if I want to move the bar down from where it is, I can change this value. And if I change it to 50, that is 50% of the screen. So it'll move it directly to the middle of my screen in terms of Y value up and down. It'll still stay at the 73% to the right, but it'll move down. So I'll show you guys this edit take effect, run the shortcut, and you guys will see that bar in the upper right will drop down to the middle of my screen. There you go, and it's right under my photos now. And that's how X and Y values work. It's based off of screen percentage. So if you want something to disappear, if you go greater than 100%, that's off the screen. I like to just do 200%. I don't know why. So when I want something to be gone, I just change it to 200%. And that way when I go through, I can just see, oh, hey, I have that hidden and we can run it. So if it's set to 200%, it's going to be far beyond the size of my screen. My screen size is 100%. So now that battery bar is gone. As you can see, it's nowhere to be found. So that's kind of a good idea of how you guys can start manipulating the position of items. Let's see, what else do I want to cover? There's so much to cover in here. It's really mind-boggling to try to explain this to you guys. So we changed icon sets. I showed overlays, weather walls. Here's where you specify what weather walls folder to use. Like I said, if you guys download other weather walls from iHEAVEN, this is where you specify the name. Pretty much here you have your home screen text. This is basically all of the different elements, and every element you can make a ton of adjustments to. So for today, as you can see, you can change the X value, the Y value. You can change the alignment of that item. You can have it be left, center, or right, depending on how you want it to align. You have your font size, you have the font type. I'll explain changing fonts here in a minute, so stay tight for those of you that are wondering how you change the font. You have your line height, you have colors, which is based off of RGBA, which is red, green, blue, alpha. You have shadow coloring and all that. If you guys are looking for a good application to figure out colors like RGBA, I like to use drop right here. So as you can see, I have a screenshot here. You can basically touch on the screen and choose any color you want. You can click on adjust and it shows you the RGB value right there. So red is 238, green is 193, blue is 104. It's a good application if you guys want to figure out colors. Let's go back in here. So you can go through and move everything around. X value, Y value. So you have tomorrow, you have city, you have street name, region, description, description box, temperature, feels like. You have highs and lows and date, the sunrise and sunset. And it's pretty self-explanatory. You can basically spot all of those elements from the screen, make an edit, and you can move it around. Now getting down here, this is another question, is day 1, day 2. So basically those are the forecast in the middle of the screen, the little icons. So day 1 is Friday, day 2 is Saturday, day 3 is Sunday. So if we go back in here, you can see that's what each one of those is. You have your high 1, high 2, high 3 through 5. Again, same thing. That's the high temperature for each one of those days. You have the lows on control for those as well. And then you do have the icons as well. So the weather icon itself for the forecast is icon day 1, icon day 2. You have the first icon at the top there. That is the main icon on the left here. That's above my city name for Rochester. And you can change the sizing of these as well. So let's just change it to 25, which is going to be a lot bigger. And you guys will see the main weather icon will get bigger. So sizing control on those. And there you go. As you've seen, the weather icon just got much bigger. Another thing that's nice to know about is the temperature. As you guys can see, it's kind of a green color. The color of that temperature is based off of the temperature. So as it gets colder, it becomes a colder color. As it gets hotter, it becomes a hotter color, if that makes sense. So as you get down lower and lower, I believe it becomes like a blue color. And as you get hotter and hotter, it'll become like a orange or red color. And there is a control for that. If you want it to be, colored on temperature or, a static color, you can change that. Let's see if I can remember where that is in here. I believe that might be at the top here. So icon set, I'm trying to remember where the control is for that. Tomorrow city. Maybe it's under the temperature itself, margin, align. It is not, but there is a setting, I just can't remember where it is off the top of my head, for the current temperature to use it as a static color or a color changing color based on temperature, basically. So there is an option for that. I know that's something that people will ask a lot. I just can't remember exactly where it was. It's somewhere in here. But anyways, at the bottom here, you do have the sun option. the very bottom option, you can see X1, X2, Y1, Y2. This is controls for the moving sun and moon. So X1 is where it starts on the X variant, and then X2 is where it ends. So as you can see, X1, it starts fully on the left and it ends fully on the right. You can have it go a different direction if you want. You can have it start from 100 and go to 0, which is from the right side of your screen to the left. So you have control over the starting points and the finishing points. And then Y1, Y2 is where it's going to start for the Y value, and where it's going to end, or for the highest point, is Y2. So Y1 begins at 50%. And then as it goes throughout the day, it goes up to 35% and drops back down to 50%. So you can change the arc of that as well. So full control over that moving sun and moon, which is really cool. I guess we could touch base on font now, because this is going to be probably a very common question, is how to do the font. So the way font works is it's specified right here. As you can see, Eric has it preloaded with the DIN alternate dash bold. This is the section you can use a custom font. So you can use one custom font, and I'm going to change it for you guys so you can see how to do a custom font. So change the name here to my font with a capital M and a capital F. And now you need to specify a link. Now I'm going to show you guys the Dropbox method, just because that's what I use and I know how it works. So in my Dropbox, I have some fonts available. As you can see right here, I'm already in the fonts folder, and I'm going to use this lemon bold font right here. What you can do is you can copy the link, copy link again, and then we can go back into the JavaScript, and you can delete the link that Eric has here, and you can put in your own link. And just be careful deleting this. Don't go too fast, because then it might speed up and you might delete half of this JavaScript, and then you're going to be in trouble. So once you get towards the end, just take your time and click it like so. Now to paste the link in, I like to add a space. So I have a slot to click my finger to click paste. So just like that. But then you need to go back to the beginning and delete out that space that you put in. Otherwise it might not work. Now with the Dropbox link, you need to change the very last value. That's a 0. That means preview. You need to change this to 1, which means download. And now we have a specified custom font. Now you need to change the font name for the element you want the font to change. As you can see, Tomorrow already has my font preloaded. He must have made a change, but let's change the city. So my city name, we'll change it from this one, and we'll change it to the custom font. Lowercase m, lowercase y, capital F, font. All right, so now if we run the shortcut, as you guys can see, city name is Rochester. You will see that font will change to a custom font. And there you go. The font has changed. Now what's cool about font with WeatherLite is you can use one custom font, or you can use Apple's built-in system fonts, and you can use them all independently within each element. So what I mean by this, one that I know is Menlo. So I'm going to go ahead and change the temperature from this font. And you need to spell these 100% correct. So Menlo, capital M-E-N-L-O. Then you need to specify its weight. So Menlo bold. Just like that. And now the green temperature, the big temperature on the home screen, you guys will see that that font will change because it's an Apple built-in font. It's not a custom font that needs a download link. So 39 degrees changes to the Menlo font. Now a great way to see what you have installed on iOS is you go into this free app called iFont. You click on the lower right to more, and you can go to installed, and you can see all of the names for all of the Apple installed fonts here. So let's just do another one. For example, let's do Futura, and then you can choose which weight you like. let's just do bold because it's easiest to type. So we'll do Futura bold. Let's go ahead and let's go back into here and make the edit to the temperature. So Menlo, we're going to change this to Futura. And again, I'm going to make that font bold. And you can do, you can make all of these different. Let's change this one to Menlo bold. Let's change, I guess we could change this, the high, to our custom font. Again, MY, capital FONT, my font for the custom font. Now let's run the shortcut and you guys will see the fonts will change. And I have some Apple built-in fonts. I'm using a custom font. And there you go. As you can see, some of the fonts have changed and it looks, pretty crazy. And the thing I like to do usually is I like to deconstruct stuff. So, I could real quickly show you an example of just getting some items, off the screen essentially. Like I said, I like to just set them to 200%. So like once you start getting in your groove here, you can just start going through making more edits at a time because you kind of have an idea of where you want things to go. So like all these high temperatures, I can just set these to 200 to remove them off the screen. And you don't have to worry about, doing one at a time once you get a good feel for this, just like that. So all of the highs will disappear off the screen. Just let it run. So all of the high temperatures should be gone and vanish. Boom, and they're gone. So once you start getting more comfortable with it, you can start making, batch edits and edit more at once and get more comfortable with it. But I think that's probably all I'm going to cover in this video. I think I've covered a ton of questions, at least I hope I have. Just remember, you can, like, each one of these elements, you can toy around with the X, the Y, the alignment, the font size, the type of font, the line height, the color of it, the shadow color, the shadow offsetting, and then margin. You can edit all these, basically change the values, see what it does. You'll start to learn what it all does, and then you can basically create your own setup just from this JOSN file. So it's really incredible what Eric has made here, and I think it's a huge step. So that's pretty much all I'm going to cover for this video. This is an exceptionally long video. So hopefully you guys found this useful. If you did, definitely throw me a thumbs up. That helps me out a lot here at the channel. And if you guys want to see more videos like this in the future, don't forget to click that subscribe button. This has been Jeremy, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.